In this problem, I need to evaluate this expression here when x is negative 6 and y equals 4. So that means both here and here for those x's, I'm going to put negative 6, and for these two y's, I'm going to put 4. And when we plug these numbers into our expression, it's safest to always put the variable value in parentheses. It makes evaluating the expression a lot easier and a lot less prone to error. So I'm going to have 8 times x. So it's 8 times x is negative 6 minus 4 times y. Y is positive 4. All divided by x squared. X is negative 6, so be careful, it's negative 6 all squared, minus y is positive 4. So now I've plugged my numbers in. I need to evaluate it. And to do that, I'm going to need my order of operations. Here's a summary of them. So the first thing I need to do is work on parentheses, or in fact all grouping symbols. I need to perform all operations with inside grouping symbols. Well, notice I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of parentheses. But are there any operations to evaluate inside them? No, all these are totally simplified. So it doesn't look like I have any operations to perform within grouping symbols, but in fact I do. The division bar is a grouping symbol, and it says I have implied parentheses all around the numerator and all around the denominator. So I need to work on the numerator, I need to work on the denominator, and when those are both simplified, then I can finally do my division. So in this case, I'm allowed to work on the numerator and the denominator at the same time. So let's start with our numerator. I have multiplication and a subtraction and another multiplication. So you can see I need to do multiplications and divisions before my additions and subtractions. So I'm going to have 8 times negative 6 is negative 48. Then I have to do this multiplication. Minus 4 times 4 is 16. All divided by, in my denominator, notice I have exponents before subtraction. So I'm going to have to do my exponents first. And I have to figure out negative 6 all squared. Be careful, negative 6 all squared means negative 6 times a negative 6. A negative times a negative is a positive. 6 times 6 is 36. So that's going to give me 36. And one thing I want to point out is if you hadn't have written in these parentheses when you did the substitution, you would have landed up with negative 6 squared. Well, in fact, negative 6 squared means negative 1 times 6 squared. So it's negative 1 times 6 is 36. So that would be negative 36. So you can see how important the parentheses were. So now negative 6 all squared was positive 36 minus, those parentheses are not needed, so I'm just going to have minus 4. Now in the numerator, I have negative 48 minus 16. So that's the same as negative 48 added to a negative 16. When you add integers with the same sign, you keep the sign, which is negative, and add the numbers. 48 plus 16 is 64. So I'm going to get negative 64 in the numerator divided by 36 minus 4 is 32. Now I can finally do that division. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. 64 divided by 32 is 2. So my answer is a negative 2. That expression evaluates to negative 2 when x is negative 6 and y is 4.